it just gives space for things to be, like you said, more honest and
Mhm.
just more genuine because now everyone's feelings are on the table or everyone's viewpoints are on the table. And you can show up in a way that's not you having to mask yourself or
Mhm.
hide certain parts of you to show up for someone else. It can just be a more true relationship and understanding.
Some of us don't lose our voice, postpone it. We learn when to be quiet, when to blend in, when taking up space might feel safe or unsafe. And then later in life, something shifts. We leave home, wherever that might be. We find new rooms. We begin to ask ourselves what it actually means to use our voice. That's what today's conversation might be about. We'll see where it goes. Welcome back to Pulling Threads. I'm your host, Leslie. Today's episode feels especially close to my heart, as does my guest. My guest today is Courtney Carter, and Courtney and I have a very special family relationship. And we also grew up in the same small Midwestern town. And our very special family connection makes this conversation feel both intimate and meaningful. Courtney once hosted a podcast called Weird Honey. We're going to find out if Weird Honey is going to be making a comeback anytime soon. It was a space for curiosity, identity, and honest reflection. I think is currently in a pause season with Weird Honey. However, this host would love to see her bring it back. So, Courtney, welcome. Also
Thank you.
noted for any of my guests who know that I am a manifester in human design, Courtney is as well. And she carries a really grounded and thoughtful energy. So we're going to talk today about growing up in a small town and how that shapes your voice and what changes when you leave home and begin to see yourself differently as you grow up. So this isn't about having it all figured out. It's a conversation about becoming and also just acknowledging different stages of life. I think most people my age would love to go back to Courtney's and relive our 30s. Maybe Courtney wishes she could go back and relive her 20s. I have no idea.
Yes and no.
That's
Yes and no. It's both terrifying,
oh,
but also like, please, yes, let's go back.
if you could go back and have the knowledge you have now, it would be great. But Courtney, welcome to Pulling
Thank you.
Threads.
I'm so
So
excited to
wonderful
be
to
here.
have you. Yay. Just catch us up. Where are you? What's your journey been like? And what are you up to these days?
So these days, I am just committed to my Pilates reformer and working and traveling like crazy. I have unfortunately not been very dedicated to Weird Honey. I definitely want to return to Weird Honey, of course, and get that going again. I feel inspired by amazing influences in my life like you to want to jump back in and have some type of positive impact on people. So I think that part of my intention with the new year is to get that going again and actually commit to it this time. I've had so much going on for the past couple of years, like health wise and just relocation wise, that I kind of distracted from being able to jump into some of the things that I'm passionate about or feeling like I wasn't in a space to really be able to help people or be on my podcast and show up in the way that I wanted to. So just kind of readjusting and figuring out life, especially now as I'm starting into my 30s, just, readjusting and refocusing and now starting kind of a new chapter.
Yay. Well, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you.
And I want to talk more about moving forward in the new chapters, but I also want to talk about where you came from and how that's
Yes.
impacted kind of your journey. We both grew up in the same small town and we share this family connection with your brother, my son, Kobe. But when you think about that place now, first, like what word or feelings come up for you?
It's a lot of mixed emotions. I would say if you asked me this in my 20s, I would have had a very negative response. A lot of things to say that would be like, thank God I left, which still thank God I left. I'm very glad that I'm not there anymore. but I feel like I am more understanding now of the area. I think growing up in a super small space like that, you're very isolated from the outside world, and things are maybe a little bit behind times, and there's just not a lot of opportunity or variety in different lifestyles or opinions on how to live life, and everything is very set and predefined for you, and it's very hard to kind of step outside of boxes that you are placed in. And
Yeah.
so I think now where I'm at is understanding like that's where I was. It's okay. It wasn't my favorite place. It was very isolated, but I can appreciate some of the fundamental values that I got out of being in such a small place. And I also
Yeah.
grew up on a farm in the middle of nowhere. Like, you know how small it is there. And I think there are
Yes.
what, two grocery stores and two gas stations, both of which are locally owned. So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
really nothing. And even to get to town where those gas stations are from my house was about a 25-30 minute drive, which
Yeah.
now living in Houston, it's like, oh, a 25-30 minute drive. That's nothing because it's probably like 2 miles down the road. But this is like, we're talking, you have like a 20-mile drive to get to where you need to go or more. And so you
Yeah.
feel so disconnected and just like away from everything. But also, I can appreciate it now because I feel like I learned so much about survival and living and like homemaking and all of the things that you have to learn when you live in the middle of nowhere. Like, I grew up hunting and fishing. Ew to hunting, would not do it now. Don't recommend. I never killed anything. No, no, ew.
Yeah,
But
but
I
we
did
just
grow up
went with
like,
them. People
right,
like, you
literally.
went
It was
hunting, but
like,
you didn't kill anything? Nope.
right. It's like I just want to
Didn't
be
even
like
want to
part of
look at
the
the dead
the cool.
animal.
Oh my god,
Yeah, but
I
there's
have.
something about being out in nature. I liked going. I liked
Yeah,
going, but it sounds weird, but I never thought about the fact that an animal was getting killed. I know that sounds
yeah.
weird. It wasn't part of it
But
for
it
me. It
was the
was part of
norm.
like being with whomever was going, whether it was
Yeah,
my dad or a boyfriend at the time.
yeah.
Legitimately did not think about the animal, which is very odd thinking now.
It.
Now
I
I
wonder
would
if
be
it's
devastated. Like, I don't want to see him.
right.
Like,
Like,
it's such a weird thing, but it's the way it was.
it
So,
is. It
yeah.
was just a norm. It was like the thing to do there. And so that's what everyone did. And people would
Yeah.
travel because we were in such a prime location, apparently. Like, to this
Yeah.
day, people still travel to my childhood home, like close family and friends to come stay for opening week.
Yes.
And it's like a whole thing. But no, I would never personally kill anything. I have not killed anything. Would not go hunting now, but it was just like the norm. It was accepted. So I
Yeah.
do think it's interesting having that kind of background or like skill set of understanding of just being out in nature and being connected in that kind of way. I can appreciate that now.
Yeah. It's interesting because I just went home in October and I don't go home very often.
Yeah.
I lived in town in one of the small towns, Cahokia, like from 8 on after my parents were divorced. You lived in the country, like you were saying. And as a matter of fact, when I went home, I went to a friend get together, which was probably a couple minutes from where you grew up, like where your house was. I saw Dana while I was there, which is funny.
That's so
Um,
funny.
yeah, I all went to a restaurant that's close, that's in another even smaller town, and he was there, which was crazy.
Is it
But
the catfish place?
no,
Because that would be okay,
no,
because that'd be
was
really
not the
funny.
catfish place.
Okay.
It was on the Iowa side of the border, but the
Wow.
place I was that we had our get together was at a hunting cabin. And so I was just there. And I don't think I realized that that cabin was so close to where you guys actually lived,
Yeah.
because that was all happening at separate, like a
Yeah.
10-year difference of time. But Kobe told me, oh, yeah, you were right by uh,
Crazy.
Courtney's house and Dana's house. But you do, I mean, it is isolating.
Yeah.
Now we look back, you and I both live in a city,
Hmm.
and there are neighbors I can practically touch their house next to my house.
Yeah.
And that feels so comfortable. And the thought of living so far away from people feels really uncomfortable. I feel like you and I probably both felt a similar discomfort with the lack of certain types of resources, even just shopping in our
Absolutely.
hometown. Like, I don't know how I survived there. And I did, and you did. But
Yeah.
it was not, when I talk about, ugh, I'm so glad I'm not there, a lot of it has to do with the lack of resources.
Yeah.
I wanted to take voice lessons as a kid, and there wasn't a voice coach. That was like, that's not something that existed where we
Yeah.
grew up. Even piano lessons, like, there was a person, one or two people in town who did that. Having like alternate friend options. I see when my kids, they move from friend group to friend group. That's naturally happening. When you grow up in a small town, like, that's not gonna, there aren't any other groups of people if you're not meshing with the people around you. And that shapes who you are. And I think so. My next question is, when you think about who you were then versus who you are now, what about you feels the most different?
This is a different question for me because being a biracial person, navigating a very small town life, I, of my siblings, was the only person of color until maybe eighth grade, like eighth or ninth grade, I think. And there was like, we might have like foreign exchange students come in, like one or two, or someone from a different town moved in and went to the system for like the school system for like a day. So it was very different in a sense of I'm already trying to figure out that identity and feeling disconnected from my black side because I'm always, I don't know how to better word this, but I'm always around white people who
Yeah.
expect me to fit into a stereotype that they believe to be a black person. But I'm outside
Mm,
of being around my black family, like I just know me. I know how to show up as myself. Like I don't
yeah.
know how to fit the stereotypes that are being pushed on me. And I felt this heavy disconnect there from just like being involved in other cultural situations because
Right.
there was a lack of difference. And so navigating that was wild. And then trying to make friends and not be defined as something that I don't even know what that meant or what they were trying to put on to me because the way I know my black experience is so different from what they see on MTV at the time or whatever the case may be that they're then trying to force on you. So it's like you're trying to make these connections and make friendships that really shape who you are and how you grow up and like show up in the world. And then you have all these like predefined things being pushed on you or like not only in a good, not even good way, but also in a bad way that are very like you're this, you're like you're ghetto, you're a little inward all the time. Like things were happening with the
Right.
energies that were being put on to me in that sense. So I don't think it was different from how other people may have navigated growing up in that kind of situation. And
Yeah.
I look back and I cringe a lot. Like there are so many scenarios I was in where I'm like, ew, why was I doing that? Like, why did I think I had to do that to get these people to like me or have these people be my friend? Because there was always this sense of like having to extra prove myself to whatever people I was hanging out with. I will say I was very fortunate to have a few very good, close friends that to this day I can still call. I've known them for forever, and that's very rare to say and unexpected given the area. But
Yeah.
yeah, I have a couple of people that come to mind that I'm very grateful for them and for sticking with me or being my friend through all of my weird phases. Yeah.
Well, that's really okay. So I guess that wasn't, I didn't have that experience growing up there. Even though I did feel very different, I fit
Yeah.
in and I looked like everyone else. So, to be honest, I would have thought people were trying to make you fit into the mold of everyone else. But what you're saying, that was probably happening too. What you're saying is people were trying to get you to fit into a box that they thought you belonged in instead
It was
of
both.
trying to fit into, or maybe simultaneously fitting into a box to be like everyone else. So that must have been really,
It was both, and it was very confusing because it's like they expect you to be this one thing and they're projecting it on you, but that's not your experience of your culture. And so then it's like, well, I needed to be this way, but also like I should be straightening my hair every day and I should be like not eating because I'm like too curvy or whatever. Like I need to be a twig, like to fit in. Not that every person there was that, but just that that's to be like the cool person. That's what was pushed on you to like be hot and like in at wherever space you were. It was like you need to be doing all of these things to that equate, in my opinion, to whiteness. So I'm trying to get to that and force myself into that while ignoring parts of me that are so beautiful and important,
Yeah.
but then also trying to force things onto myself that maybe were just like ridiculous. Like I don't even know what examples to give, but I know there are just things that I look back, I'm like, that is so cringe. Like, can I appropriate my own culture because I feel forced to do so in a way that's not true to myself, but like I feel like I need to do that. And then
Right.
also and that yeah, on both sides, I feel like I was trying to mask myself and be either one or the other instead of just being myself. And I think through it, thank God for a really good family. Like, I mean, we've had a very strong family structure and we're very blended and full of love. And I think had that not been the case, had I not had such an incredible family, I don't think I would have turned out okay. It would be a different conversation.
Right. Right. Well, and I don't want to share someone else's story, but I think I can say this confidently. Like being a girl helped you to some extent, and your brother did not have the same experience, and we will not go there. But
Yeah.
it
Yep.
was being a biracial Black man or teenage boy in that environment was not positive. And I suspect some of those same things that were projected onto you were projected onto him, and the consequences were much more life altering
Yep.
and I think damaging.
Absolutely. It was very unsafe and it just not okay. But
Yeah.
yeah, we won't open that can of worms. I don't want to cry
We're
on your
not, that's not
podcast.
what we're here to talk about, but that's the reality of
Yeah,
the world that we live in. And that exists in lots of communities, not just small towns.
absolutely.
But in regards to growing up in a small town, and I think in an environment where everyone knows everyone, it's really hard. And I think you and I are both manifestors, and I know you don't know a ton about human design, but that means like from the get-go, we both probably had very strong, confident voices as little girls. And I remember that about you because I met you when you were 3 and you really like you were shining as a 3-year-old and very outspoken and nobody was gonna tell you what to do. And you loved talking and sharing. And I think now I've my own research about myself, I realize I came into the world that way too. But a lot of that was dimmed and my confidence was broken for lots of reasons, right? Like religion, community,
Yeah,
family structure, all kinds of different things. Not putting blame on anyone, just kind of the world we live in, even just the school structure, I think has a tendency to break down people with personalities like ours. But I'm just really finding my voice again and feeling like it's okay to speak and speak up. And I do think being in that small community where any conversation you had or anything you stood up for was going to be, it felt like it was going to be analyzed, criticized, possibly made fun of by a large number of people. So it was a very vulnerable situation for me. That was my experience. It felt like putting yourself out there and trying to be someone and have a voice was really hard and really vulnerable. So I think I lost confidence in my voice. And I'm at, in my 40s now getting it back. Did you
that's
have
been
that
beautiful.
experience? And do you still like feel hesitation around using your voice?
I would say I definitely had that experience, of course. Like you said, I feel like, I mean, it just as a child, I know that I was like, I look back at home videos or memories and think of things, and I'm like, wow, I was happy. Like, I was so I'm the leader. This is what we're doing. And this is my idea. And we're going to stick to this. And I was very excited. And oh, I mean, being the oldest sibling too, like I always wanted to be leading and like showing and helping and doing all of the things, right? And really being in charge. And I loved performing. Like that was something
Mm,
we used to do at our Nana and Papa's all the time. We would be like, okay, we're going to put on these plays or going to sing. And I used to love to sing and perform. That was my favorite thing to do. And you know that I used to like, I love music. And I used to
yep,
really love to sing. And I think as I got older, going through, schools, like, ew, people don't do choir. People don't sing. That's gross. Why are
yep,
you doing that? Why are you, we don't have theater here. You can't do that kind of thing. Or don't say what you're thinking because that's weird. No
yep,
one thinks that way. Like you
yep,
get shut down often because again, it goes back to being so isolated. Also, not to age us, but we are we did come up in an era where internet was like brand new, right? Like I remember having dial-up internet connection at our house. So
yeah,
it was
yeah,
like we did it, and the rest of the world had regular internet, mind you, but like we had just gotten dial-up set up. And
mm,
so there was not a lot of access to anything. And so things were very different. It's like everything that you know is in this little bubble, and that's it. So people
yeah,
aren't online and exposed to other ideas or opinions or options in life. They think this is it, this is the way. And if this is what the cool crowd is doing to stay cool, then this is what we're going to do to stay cool. And
right,
that's it. Like you get put again into these bubbles and you're isolated from having experiences that in larger cities you maybe would have had. Like maybe you could have had taken voice lessons. You could have been in theater. Anything that is outside of the norm,
yeah,
didn't exist there. We didn't have those
right,
opportunities. And if you tried to bring them or say stuff, they got shut down because it was like no one has the time or energy or no one really knows anything about it. And curiosity wasn't a driver. Or I don't know if it is now, but at that point, it wasn't a
right.
driver for
I'm sure
anything.
things are different. I'm sure it's very different there now.
Yeah.
To age me, I had no internet until I went to college. So I didn't have access to any information. And I'm curious if you feel this is the way I had my experience was that if you suggested, I'm going to be a singer, or I'm going to be an actress, or I'm going to do anything outside of whatever was prescribed for you to do, even if I wanted to go to medical school, it was shut down. That's not what someone like you isn't going to, they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
These are the people who go to medical school. These are the people who, and no one's leaving and going to make it. Like, no one's going to become a singer. No one's
It's
going to
rare
become
that
an
people leave.
actress. Yeah. So there was a feeling of these are the things people here in this area of the world do. And therefore, these are the things you have to do. I do think that is completely different now. And I think it's really common for people. Everyone leaves, right? And some come back and some don't. But when I was growing up, it was like, these are the professions that you should do and can do. And you're not going to medical school. You're not going to become an actress. So it's very stifling.
Yeah.
For somebody like us who, I don't know, had a bigger vision for ourselves, it was food. I would never say it. I think I might have said it to my mom, but I wouldn't
Yeah.
even speak what my dreams were, what my passions were, because it would be embarrassing to do that.
It would
Do
be
you feel like it
embarrassing.
was
And
still that way, like when you were growing up?
absolutely. It was still embarrassing to try to speak up about the things that you wanted for yourself or the dreams that you had because it's like, that is so unattainable. Why are you saying that? And
Yeah.
then if you do bring it up to someone, it's like telephone. And then everyone tells everyone, oh, well, so and so wants to do this. And you get these nicknames. Like I remember I used to get called Courtney
Yes.
California all the time because I wanted to be a singer or I wanted to do modeling or whatever the case may be. And I wasn't pretty enough to do anything modeling, or my voice wasn't like, you don't even sing. That's not going to happen. Like, you can't do that. And it was always like, it's just like, you can't do this. Like, this is not a thing. So you don't tell people, then you get to a point of like not even wanting to have those dreams on your own because you're like internalizing it and thinking, okay, this isn't going to be possible. I shouldn't tell people I think or feel this way because they're going to laugh at me or think it's insane. and just tell me all of the reasons it won't work. So now I'm going to believe these are all the reasons it won't work or can never happen. And I think in a way, I carried that a long time. I think now I have gotten to a better point of thinking, you know what? Nothing is limiting me. I can literally do anything I want to do. I'm capable. I'm still insecure about a lot of things. Like, I think that is going to take some work, but I do feel more aware or informed on the fact that there are options. There are ways to make things happen. And
Yeah.
no one can tell you otherwise. No one is here to
No,
limit you.
no, no. And I think that's one of the reasons I really wanted to have you on pulling threads because there are lots of people, whether it's a small town or their religious group or their own family, no matter where they live, who struggle with feeling like they've been stuck in a box and they don't have any desire to be in the box they were put in. And we have so much programming, even if you don't feel that way, like we just have so much programming and so much of that has to be undone. I feel like adulthood is almost just reaching a point where you have an awareness that you don't want to be the person that started down this
Yeah.
path of adulthood. And then it's, you know, pulling out all the unprogramming or all the programming that you don't want or don't need and finding
Yes.
yourself again. So now I want to circle back to Weird Honey and what gave you like the courage to start it. When you started it, what gave you the courage and what part of you was finally getting space to speak? How'd you get there?
Honestly, Weird Honey started out of a state of severe depression. I'm not going to lie. I was in a very dark place and I had started trying to pull myself out of that. And I had recognized that something needed to change, that I wasn't okay. And I needed to like reset and be okay with myself. So
Yeah.
I started really heavily reading and listening to podcasts and thinking this stuff all makes so much sense. Or also, these are things that I already naturally feel or recognize in the world or in humans. And like, I want to help other people as I kind of
Yeah.
go on this journey myself or give them the knowledge that I have. It's very cliche to say this, but I do feel, I think I was 25 when I started Weird Honey.
Yeah.
And I've always felt kind of like an older soul. So cringe to say that, but
No, no,
I have
I
a lot
just
of
told Kobe that about you like 2 nights ago. I was like, well, Courtney and I
really,
are like similar old souls. And he was like, definitely. I was like, uh-huh.
yes. Like you, if you know me, you know that. Like I am,
Yes.
I mean, in part, was partly raised by my Nana and Papa, who were my great grandparents. They were very involved in my upbringing, and they were, I think they were like 82 or 83 when I was born, and they
Yeah.
were in my life until I was 19 years old. So,
Yeah.
very heavily influenced by their energy, very grounded and very aware and able to kind of question things or feel things differently. And plus, just a lot of trauma has gotten me to a point in life where I look at things a little bit differently. I've always
Yeah.
kind of looked at things a little bit differently, a little bit deeper. And
Yeah.
so at that point in my life, I was really, after listening and kind of regrouping, I was really inspired to say, you know what? I have a lot of knowledge or I have a lot of strong feelings towards things that I'm passionate about that I really want to help other people with. And I started realizing like I'm probably not the only person who feels this way or who
No.
has been through things, who's been living life and like figuring out your life after moving away from a really small town and readjusting and figuring out being biracial. And that's a whole other can of worms. And just figuring out life. I'm like, there's so much I could do with my voice, and I shouldn't be shy about it.
Yeah.
So insecure, yes, still am. But I was like, you know what? I was listening to the Skinny Confidential. I used to
I love
love their
them.
podcast.
I used to love their
Yes.
podcast too.
When they first started, they were in like a little apartment room or something. And
Yeah.
like it was just not the best setup and audio, but they were like, we're going to do it. And then as
Yeah.
they started growing, they were like, you know what? Launch fast, adjust later. And so
Right.
I remember listening to an episode where they said that. And I was like, you know what? I can do this.
I can
I'm
do
going to do
this.
this. This
Yeah.
is really cool. Like, I'm going to do
Yeah.
this. I want to highlight people. I want to, interview and highlight people and their minds and their art and the things that they're bringing into the world. And I also want to give back with what I know or am learning or feeling and experiencing. Maybe it'll help somebody who's feeling the way that I'm feeling.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. I love that. I had very similar feelings when I started this and then some. I felt a lot of things. So when you started Weird Honey, did it feel like natural, scary, rebellious, freeing? How would you describe it?
it was a little nerve wracking at first. I think I was really nervous, kind of with how people would perceive me.
Mhm.
If people even paid attention, I was worried about that. Like, is anyone going to care? Am
Right.
I
Will
saying the
anyone
wrong
listen?
thing?
Yeah.
Right. It was nerve wracking, but also natural. Once I started talking, I'm obviously a chatter. I would get on there and I would do solo episodes and I would talk for an hour and be like, I just literally talked to my computer for an hour straight. Like, I should, like, this is probably a
I
good
do the
idea.
same. Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a little of both, like a little scary, but also kind of natural. Like it felt good to just talk and very free.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know you don't know a lot about manifestor energy, but like if you believe in human design, which I do, your design is to inform. So mine is too. And we're only 7% of the population. But our design is not to be informed as far as like how we feel. We're supposed to listen to our own intuition. But a lot of other designs are receivers of those things that we are supposed to be informing. And so having a podcast or writing book or doing anything where we're taking what is kind of our natural intuition and projecting it out into the world and presenting it to inform and share and help people grow. That's just how it's what we're made to do. So now a lot of people come to that later in life. You came in your 20s, but I think that is part of that old soul part of you. However, I'm curious why you stopped. Where you feel like maybe you weren't quite ready when you started as far as maturity and development or something else?
Think I fell back into a space of I let the results kind of overwhelm me where I felt like
Mhm.
I wasn't getting much traction and maybe it wasn't meaningful or impactful. And I just got really sidetracked with life in a way that I felt I couldn't genuinely show up in the way that I wanted because I felt like the things that I would talk about or, just share, like I couldn't get deep in the way that I wanted
Yeah.
to because of things going on in my life. And
Uh,
it just made me feel very limited. I felt like I can't do this because I'm a fraud. Like no one's going
yeah,
to want to listen to this. I have nothing to talk about.
right.
So yeah, I
Because you
kind of
couldn't
just
talk
fell
about
off.
what was actually happening in your life. And that's kind of what you're supposed to do, right? Like,
Yep.
but yeah, I can relate to that. What have you learned about yourself during this pause period? And just reflections about, like, if we're talking about it, the why. And I think it's always easier to reflect and look back. But what have you learned?
Learned that I probably need therapy.
We all need therapy.
Oh my God. I've learned so much. I do think that I have a tendency to stay in hibernation mode or comfort mode in a way that like protects me from the outside world when I
Hmm.
don't feel like I'm showing up the way that I want to. And
Hmm.
I think I had some health stuff that popped up like at the end of my 20s and it really kind of threw me off course. So I just like I shut down again and I like didn't want to be doing anything or involved in anything. I think I let myself get discouraged easily, or sometimes I believe things about myself that maybe aren't true, but I have this little narrative in the back of my mind that is still that little like, you are not enough or no one cares. And so I believe that. And then I shut down and I just focus on the things that I can control. I need to focus on those things that I can really control and lean into those, and everything else is just have to stay in focus mode on like one thing that I know is certain, and then I
Yeah.
stay on that path. So yeah, I need to work on that.
Well, I think some of that makes sense also with manifestor energy. Like, we will get like waves of inspiration followed by waves of needing space. And it sounds like you're kind of honoring the space, but maybe something's still holding you back from the inspiration. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I think I have definitely been lacking the inspiration, but I also think that I am getting to a place in adulthood where just current life situations and just where I'm at, I'm starting to be better at drawing boundaries and realizing what works for me and what doesn't, and what's okay and what's not okay, and then figuring out how I can now show up for myself in a way that maybe other people are not going to be able to do. Like, there are things that only I can control in my life and only I
Yeah.
can make choices on to determine my next steps. And I have to kind of take ownership and get out of of I think it's avoidant attachment, or like, I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
I need to get out of my comfort bubble and like being content, and I need to
Mhm.
start finding that inspiration again and
Yeah.
letting myself live. I need to stop being afraid and just let myself live and not be like a timid little, I'm just going to go with this because it is what it is. Like, no, I need to get out and live, and I need to find that inspiration again. And I feel like
Yeah.
I've been finding it again. I feel like I've been getting my groove back over the past
Good.
few months.
Yay. Yay. Because the world
Yeah.
needs more. The world needs more, Courtney. Um, you mentioned boundaries, and I think that's kind of how we protect our energy. So I was going to ask you, like, how do you protect your energy now in ways that you didn't know how to before? Because oftentimes, once we set the boundaries and we learn how to protect our energy, it frees us up to be more vulnerable and take more risks and put ourselves out there more. So, how are you doing that? Like, what you don't have to go into specifics, but
Yeah.
what do you think you're doing now to do that?
I think that now I'm not worried about what people think as much, and I'm not worried about, this is going to sound really mean, and I don't mean this in a mean way, but I don't worry about other people's emotions as much. I am a very empathetic and very people pleasing kind of person. It's always been my nature to want to make everyone around me happy and like again blend in to whatever environment I'm in, to make sure everyone else is comfortable. And I've not ever really focused on myself being comfortable. And if making someone else happy that I love means I'm not, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure they're happy. So I think my boundary that I've been discovering or trying to do better at is knowing when it's okay to be like, this is not something I can do, or this is not something I can handle or take on right now, or the way that you're doing this to me is not okay. This is actually something that you're taking advantage of in my character. So
Yeah.
realizing where I need to stop worrying about other people, because of course I'm still going to do that. And there are a million scenarios where you should do that. Like, you should still be a person, a human, you know? But there are times where people really do take that for granted or abuse that in
Yeah.
personalities. And so finding out when it's okay to draw a healthy boundary of, hey, I'm drawing a line there. I'm not doing that. This is not going to fly anymore. I'm not okay with this. Or this is where I deserve more. This is
Yeah.
what I want out of a friendship or out of a romantic relationship or out of family. And with family, I have to draw these boundaries sometimes where I'm like, you're being really annoying. And you know what? I'm not going to not tell you that anymore. I'm going to let you know you can't say that. Like, you
Right.
can't do that. And then it's
Right.
amazing what the communication does. I think
Right.
communication's always been a thing where I've been afraid of for some reason. So figuring out how to communicate the things I'm feeling instead of just being like, dang, I don't feel great, but I'm going to just stick through it and do this because
Yeah.
I love them. Like,
Because
yeah,
the outcome is great. I think people don't realize setting boundaries creates better relationships with everyone around us.
yep,
We think because we are almost, so many of us are people pleasers, and that's how we grew up. We think by giving everybody exactly what they want and agreeing to things and allowing people to say and do things that we don't like, when just staying quiet and small, we are keeping the peace. But in actuality, we're sacrificing our peace. We don't show up well when we don't have good boundaries, and we're constantly bracing for someone to engage with us in a way that makes us feel bad. So, setting the boundaries and telling people what we think of the way that they treat us and telling them how we want to be treated results in a better relationship with those people. We all have it kind of
Definitely
backwards.
does.
Yeah.
It just gives space for things to be, like you said, more honest and
Mhm.
just more genuine because now everyone's feelings are on the table or everyone's viewpoints are on the table. And you can show up in a way that's not you having to mask yourself or
Mhm.
hide certain parts of you to show up for someone else. It can just be a more true relationship and understanding. And it
Yeah.
feels so much more freeing than feeling like internal dread because you have to interact with someone or show up in a way you don't want to, and then resenting people because you made the decision to not speak up. And it's easier said than done. But once you get to a point of being able to say, not for me, it just makes such a difference.
Yeah. And I find I avoid people if I don't like that the way they're engaging with me, and they're people I care about.
Yeah. I mean, it does. It's hard, especially with people you deeply, deeply love. Like, sation feels better than not having it. So then there's a better understanding. And like you just, like you said, you move forward and then it feels better moving forward because now that's out there and it's not going to be something heavy that's like causing the dread.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think as far as boundaries? I want to back up to boundaries and discussing boundaries. What do you think about your generation in terms of setting boundaries? I'm not sure whether you identify with you're a millennial, right?
Yeah.
You're a millennial.
So,
I don't think you
Kobe,
identify. I don't know if you identify as a
no,
millennial.
I
And I
don't,
feel
but
like
Kobe's going
that's
to
a
roast me for this.
no, because he and I talked about it too. And I was like, oh, she's more like a Gen X, even though you're not even close to
But you think
being
I'm more
that.
Gen X?
Well, he said that you identify more as a Gen Z.
Yeah.
Okay, say more about that. Tell
So,
me about that.
okay, I think I'm gonna get roasted for this, but yes, I am a millennial. I'm a young millennial. I like to say
You are.
millennial because I'm on the cusp. And while I did just say I'm an old soul, which I am, I think when it comes to just social interaction and like existence, when it comes to be very, very involved in social media and like all of the
Oh,
things
yeah.
and the trends or like the way
Yeah.
I'm living my life, I think I am a little more Gen Z. The music that I listen to, well, I listen to all music, but I still listen to new music and like love new music. I'm not just like, I'm only listening to the oldies because I listen to everything. And I'm so open about everything. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like I've changed with the times in a way that I kind of feel very young at heart. I also don't have kids, so that's probably thrown me off and why I feel younger than I actually am because I'm 32 years old without children, so I feel like a child myself. So
Right.
yeah, I do a lot of millennial things and I'm millennial cringe a lot of the time. Just this whole conversation around me claiming millennials cringe. But it's just funny too because this topic comes up a lot, and I'll like send things or say something, and all of the younger siblings will be like, "You want to be you want to be Gen Z so bad? Like, are you okay?" And my Spotify Wrapped came out, and it said that my listening age was 19, and I sent it to the sibling group chat, and they're like, "You need help.
That's hilarious.
You are
That's
old."
hilarious.
Yeah, because
I
they
don't
think
see
I'm
you
all
as old.
old.
I don't see you as old. I don't, yeah, I mean, I have a I have children who are millennial, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha, and
Yeah.
they're all different, right? And you're definitely
Yeah.
not a Gen Alpha because that's a whole if you were, you'd be using a whole different language that we
Oh
have to
yeah.
interpret with them.
Their language
Um,
is wild.
their language is wild. It's very interesting, and the dynamic for everybody is different.
Yeah.
So I've always seen myself as younger, but I don't see myself as a millennial. I definitely identify with Gen X because there's such a huge difference in technology, just technology alone. But I think the subset of Gen Xers that I am with are very social media savvy and in tune. And so I don't know if I differentiate that way
In my
because
brain,
I'm,
I would think of you as a millennial, like a old, like not no offense, I don't mean this in a mean way, but like older millennial group, like the original millennials. I think of you as that. I guess
oh,
I don't know, because Gen X, yeah, it fits, but yeah, you're like a young hit. You're like what I am in millennial Gen Z to millennial Gen X.
that's how it feels.
Yeah.
That's how it feels, I guess, as far as I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm definitely coming out of a shell, right? So, like, for years, I lived a lot more quietly and a lot smaller. And I guess all the therapy I've done, all of the work I've done on myself, I feel no fear in using my voice at all anymore. Like, sometimes I think to myself, what if such and such hears this? Or what will this old friend group I had while I was married, what do they think of what I'm doing? Like, and then I'm like, oh, well, like most of them are probably like, go get it, like it's
Yeah.
okay. I
They're
really like
probably
to
so
think
proud.
everybody's cheering me on. And if
Yes.
they're not, I don't care. I had my first life coach at the beginning of my therapy journey would say, that's none of your business. Anything
Right.
that I would worry about what someone else was thinking about me, she would say, that's none of your business. And I was like, it feels business. Like that really feels like it's my business. She's like, nope. Fine. And I still to this day hear her voice say that. It's none of your business.
Wow.
And it helps me push through that voice of what will they think? Uh, it's been very helpful. I didn't realize at the time. I thought she was being super harsh.
Right. You're like, but I want to know. Like,
I'm
what
like,
do you mean I can't know what
I
people
am
think
worried.
about
I'm
me?
really
Like,
worried about what they're thinking.
right. Like, this is scary. People's opinions. Like, I need to know. That's a great hack, though. I love that.
Yeah,
I need to start doing
it's
that.
it's funny. As a therapist and a coach, my clients will sometimes say, I hear your voice saying, and I'm like, oh, that now I'm the voice. Like it's not Kendra giving me the voice, it's me giving them. So it's a fun part of how you see yourself having an impact when someone shares that.
It's gonna be a beautiful feeling. Like, just a very
It's cool.
reassuring feeling to hear
It's
someone say, like, it's your voice. Like, what?
Yeah,
I'm helping?
I was getting ready to do this, and then I heard your voice saying, keep going, or whatever it is. I'm like, I love that.
That's so exciting.
It's
Wow.
really fun. So for me, like so much is unfolding, but has unfolded. What about for you? What do you feel is still processing and unfolding for you?
I think, and this goes back to generational stuff too. I feel like millennials just kind of very much go with the flow of things.
Hmm.
We are just kind of, oh, this trauma happened. Guess we got to keep moving and deal with that. Like, we're very desensitized to things, but we're still very much concerned with others or involved with others and community and kind of worried about people's perceptions or opinions, maybe,
Yeah,
um, and how we interact with people. Whereas Gen Z, they're much better at drawing those boundaries. That's
yeah.
something I have not mastered yet. The sassiness and boundary drawing of Gen Z, or the I'm not going to do that. Like, I
Yeah.
think for me, it's, yeah, figuring out, working on those boundaries. I'm getting there, but really
Yeah.
getting to a point not making humor out of everything that's bad,
Hmm.
because I feel like I deflect with humor a lot. Like, you know that. People who know me know that. I'm a jokester when I feel uncomfortable, or if I just am like, this is something I don't really want to talk about. So I'll like make jokes about it. And I think that's a millennial trait. So getting out of that and being okay with being in my feelings, like sitting in my feelings and understanding them and speaking on them, like voicing the things that I'm feeling, and not just resulting, or not resulting, resorting to things like, I mean, just coping mechanisms like that people resort to. I think that's really important, is dealing with things head on,
Yep. Yep.
figuring that out. So,
Yeah, it's funny what you said about trauma because I think Gen Xers, we had no idea we were being traumatized, but we were. We didn't find out until we were in our 40s. You guys
right.
understand, okay, we've had trauma, but we're going to move through it. And you're right. Gen Z are
Yeah.
like, we're not going to allow you to traumatize us.
Right.
And Gen
Like,
Alpha, even more so. Jack will tell me, don't tell me how to feel my feelings or tell me how I feel. And I'm like, oh God, he's
oh,
right. I shouldn't tell him how he feels. Like, they're pushing back really young. Like, I
yeah.
know the impact you, my mom, are going to have on me, and I'm not letting you. So
So
it's wild.
wild.
It's really
Like,
wild.
interesting. I'll say
Yeah.
even like Taylor and Kobe's age range, like, and Delaney, they're very vocal about things. Like, if they don't want to, Kobe and Delaney, sometimes I get so annoyed. And that's a difference too in the age group, because they'll be like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go out of my way to have to do this thing for other people to be happy. I doesn't mean I don't care about
Right.
people, but like, I don't care to do that. I'm not going to make
Yeah.
it a priority. And
And
I'm
that's
like,
such a
I would
gift.
drop everything and do this. Like, what do you mean?
Right. But
But
like you said earlier, you would hold the resentment and you would,
exactly.
like, it takes away from us. I don't think we
Yeah,
realize how much I call it a boundary collapse. When you do something that you don't want to do and you don't speak up and say what you really want to say, it's a boundary collapse. That is so harmful to us.
yeah,
Like, it is so harmful. It does so many things to our system that are subconscious, and it can make us really sick and resentful and all the
absolutely.
things, anxiety. And so I admire, and I feel like those people who can say, I don't want to do that, they're probably going to live longer. They have a gift. It's wonderful.
Happy.
Like,
No,
it
it's
doesn't always feel
incredible.
good to be on the receiving end of it.
Yeah,
That I golf with Kobe, and golf is so mentally taxing. And so I like to follow the etiquette, like, that Frank has taught me. And Kobe doesn't care about all of the etiquette. He's like, I'm gonna, and like, he likes to listen to music. And I've realized now if it's soft music, I can be okay, but I'm really sensitive to sound.
yeah,
So going out and golfing with someone, like, you get to know them very quickly. And if they are going to rub up against you or shine a light on your stuff, it's going to happen on the golf course. And so our generational differences, my people pleasing and willingness to suck it up and push through to make someone else more comfortable, becomes really apparent in his lack of willingness to do that. Because
also, it's just so stubborn.
right. And then we
It's
have
not going to turn
Jack,
his music
who's
off.
like, and then Jack, who's, all three of us have a lot of perfectionist tendencies, which I was
Mhm.
also going to ask you about, like, which is so detrimental in so many ways. And I wonder if that played a role for you with Weird Honey and with other things in your life, like the need to do something just right. And so unwillingness to try. Do you see that in your life?
Absolutely. I feel that there's always this drive to be perfect. And there are points where people push things on you to make you feel like you have to be perfect. And if you're not, then like they're going to be let down or they're going to be embarrassed. And it makes you feel like, okay, I really want to, like, I don't want anyone to look at this thing that I'm putting out and being vulnerable with and saying, this is really dumb. This is really bad. Why is she
Right.
doing this? Like,
Right.
all the bad things or negative things that someone could say, I see or recognize and think them myself first, and then
Yeah.
talk myself out of doing things. So, absolutely, it was a big perfectionist thing. And I did launch Fast and Adjust. Like, as I
Yeah.
mentioned, that was part of it. I just
Yeah.
said, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's rip off the band-aid. Let's go for it. But then
Yeah.
it also became this thing where you get in these seasons of anxiety and you feel like, this is not good. This is not what
Yeah.
I want. I need to be better. I have to stop. Like, I
Right.
just get overwhelmed with wanting to be so perfect.
Right.
Also, I'm a Leo Virgo, so I am very like, I have double Virgo tendencies on top of being a
Which
very
is
stubborn Leo.
perfectionism. Yep.
It's insane. And it
It,
hinders me a ton to where
yep.
I'm like, that wasn't
That's a
good. And I'll
big,
redo stuff.
that's a really high amount of perfectionism. Like, I
Mm.
am Pisces, thank God, right?
Oh my
Pisces,
gosh. Wow.
Gemini, Virgo. So I'm a Virgo rising. I
Wow.
know, and I never knew where my perfectionism came from until I really dug
Yeah.
into what my rising sign was. And then I was like, oh, that makes a lot of
That
sense.
makes sense.
But I've actually worked with a integrative astrologer, and
Oh,
she's kind of taught me how to identify the shadow sides of those things so that
yeah.
when it's creeping up, I'll say, okay, why happening? Like, why don't I want to release this episode? Or why am I afraid to try this new thing? And I can identify that there is a part of me that unless I do it perfect, I don't want to do it at all. But that's not real. That's not how I really feel. I really want to do it. So I have to figure out a workaround around that perfectionist tendency. And
It's difficult because it's always
it's
in the
really
back of your
hard.
head. Like
It
it's
is.
driving everything you do.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other piece of, I think, perfectionism that comes from that Virgo side of us is not delegating. So being afraid to delegate because we think it needs to be perfect because everything is a reflection of us. And then if we delegate and someone doesn't do it right, number one, we're going to have to tell them, which means we're going to have to set a boundary and we're going to have to face an uncomfortable conversation, which is
Yes.
horrible. And then number two, they might put something out into the world for us that represents us that doesn't look perfect. And then what's everyone going to think? And so for me right now, I am working really hard on overcoming that because I've realized there's so many things I want to create and so many things I want to do that, and I'm not a doer. I'm actually more of a creator, founder, informer.
Yeah.
I'm not the person behind the scenes making the Canva and doing the social media. And I want it to
Same.
be my voice and I want to speak and I want it to be my videos, but
Yeah.
I don't want to edit them and put them out. And the same with the podcast. So,
The doing gives so much anxiety.
yeah. And you're
Like,
like me, you're not a natural doer, but the perfectionist part of us gets us caught in the weeds because we're afraid to let someone else do it.
absolutely.
I mean, we could easily like make a Canva thing and stick it out in the world. I could edit this in 2 minutes and send it out in the world, but I want it to look a certain
Right.
way.
It's probably
So
not
the
going to look the way
workaround
we
is
want people to know that we want it to look.
I want it to
And we're going to
look
meet it.
good. Yes. And as you mentioned, like there is a lot of feedback that you don't want. And so I'm actually getting ready to create, I'm going to call it a course right now, but it's probably going to be more of an interactive course for people who want to start a podcast, especially therapists and coaches, but anybody and people who want to get it started quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm working with another person who's amazing and she creates AI tools, which we'll be offering. And one of the modules is going to talk about the mental health side of this because I get comments in YouTube. Like when I started, I hated how my voice sounded. You can really, I think everyone hates how their voice sounds. And I would listen to the videos back and I'd be like, oh, just this morning, I got a few comments on some shorts that I released into YouTube promoting my last episode. And sure enough, so annoying, her voice.
I would say
I
that.
was like,
I love
I
your
was like,
voice.
here we go.
Since a kid, I'm like, since a kid, your voice has been like one of the coolest voices to me. I'm like, "Ah, she's just so eloquent
But
with
I
the
think
voice of
people
how she
know the
speaks. I'm like,
things
cool.
that bother us, right? Like they know the
Yeah.
things. And so there are trolls. They're just out there. I've had like last week someone said, "Is that a prostitute or something?" Because I was wearing like this really, I think, really pretty dress.
What?
So my point is, like, when you decide to put yourself out there, you got to be not rock solid, but pretty solid and ready and almost anticipating the criticism.
Yeah.
For me, I think it says so much about the work I've done and how far I've come that strangers criticizing me online thus far has not had an impact on me. Now, if it was a person I knew, I don't know. Like, I don't know. That's a whole different that's a
That's
whole
what
different
would
ball
get me.
game. Yeah. If it was
Yeah. If
somebody
it's
I
someone I
knew who was
know,
like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this." I feel like my parts
yeah.
would come out and be like, "Oh my God, see, you should have stayed hiding." We'll see. It's only a matter of time before that happens. So,
Ugh, I hope not. I hope no one that you know says anything mean because if they do, you better look out at them, not you. But yeah, ugh, if I ever get to a point where people are online saying mean things about me, I feel like I've been bullied so much that I
you
won't
might be
care.
able
Like
to
it's
just push through.
yeah, it's just gonna be like, dude, you're telling me things I've already heard or I've already thought myself. Like
Well, that's
I
the thing.
agree with
Yeah.
you, but
Yes.
thanks for
Yeah.
noticing.
Right. I just always think, oh, it's not personal. It's not personal. Like
Yeah.
these people are either scrolling through and looking for people to make negative comments about, or
Yeah.
they're self-conscious about themselves, or I don't know, whatever. It's not personal.
If it was like
Um,
really constructive, then I'd be like, that's helpful, actually. Thank you. But if it's mean, I'm just like, why? Like, okay.
mhm.
But if it's someone you know, if I know someone and they could have just texted me and been like, your podcast was stupid. Okay, tell me that to my face and tell me why or how I can do better and tell me it out of love and out of helping. But if you're telling me that just to be a meanie,
Yeah,
then I'm not going to be friends with you anymore. Or if you're family, then I guess, we're going to not talk to you for a couple days. Like,
yeah.
figure it out. Be
Well,
nice.
it is, if it's constructive, that's good.
Yeah.
And if it's having an impact, so I don't remember what the post was about, but I posted something, and the way that I said it, this was just a social media post. I think someone said to my daughter about it and pointed it out, and she felt a little embarrassed. And I immediately took it down. And she said, "You don't have to take it down." And I was like, "No, I want to." It was just a social media post. And I asked Kobe about it, and he goes, "Yeah, mom, that was a little, like, a little cringe." And so I do run things now through a filter. Like, if my kids or people they know see this, how's it going to make them feel? And I want to be respectful to them. They have to live in this world too. However, one of Ella's friends kind of made fun of her one day and said, well, maybe we'll just sit and listen to your mom's podcast at lunch. And they were trying to get to Ella, fun of
Said it to
her.
Ella.
Right. And she told me about it, but she said, you do not stop podcasting. It was earlier on and she was like, you're doing this. You're getting your
Love
voice out
Ella.
there. Like, I'm not trying to silence you. She's also a Leo,
She is absolutely a Leo
and
girly.
she's doing the things you and I wanted to do growing up. Like, she's singing and she's
Yeah.
embracing the theater, and I love that. But that it didn't bother me. I was glad she told me. It helped me. It was good feedback. Okay, I need to be cautious. I might need to block some people in her world if that becomes an issue. And I certainly am careful, especially with the divorce content I release. I try really hard to be really mindful of them, my ex-husband, and just everyone's feelings in regards to talking about some of those things.
Which I feel like you
So,
absolutely are, but you still have to have the space. Like you're still a human having an experience. So it's still, that's your outlet. So it's
yeah,
good that I love that Ella encourages it too and isn't like, stop that, mom. But she's like, do that because it's what
no,
makes you happy and it's what you need to do. So do
yeah,
that, use your voice. And it's also awesome of you that you're being very intentional about it, which I one would
yeah.
expect anything less.
Well, it's really fun because this is becoming, I think it's going to become like a family endeavor event, well, soon. Jack is taking over helping to create content for Par and Peace, which is a separate YouTube channel that right now is just getting YouTube shorts. And then I have a separate, I have the I've got the website, I've got the Instagram, and that's my name on TikTok. But he's going to start creating golf, mindfulness, and mental health content for me. I've created a
Great.
chat bot that will help him. And then we're going to use content from when we're golfing and our experiences and what we're having go on. I have one client right now who wants me to actually go golfing with them and do therapy on the course because it's just so mentally challenging. And I'd like to just expand the resources that I'm offering, but I'm doing so many other things. Like, he's excited about starting. And Ella may actually start creating some content for my therapy. She wants to become a therapist someday, or psychologist, an actress psychologist. So she's
Cool.
considering, when she has downtime, helping create content for the therapy practice, which is cool. So not only are they
Awesome.
encouraging me, but they are jumping in the ship a little bit, which is fun. And I
Yeah.
hope that
And they're
helps them
excited.
learn the entrepreneurship side of this. Like, there's a lot
Yeah.
to know and understand. So,
Absolutely. And it's probably just great because you have their excited little energy to lift you up and boost you into what you're doing and help keep you going at it. Like
yeah.
really encourage you. And
Yeah,
then, yeah,
and
have
I'm gonna
some
get
so
that
much.
Gen Z and Gen Alpha energy out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever that looks like. I don't. So fun. Okay, so we haven't ruled out Weird Honey coming back around, correct?
No, I think I'm gonna go for it. I have to start again, so I think we're gonna bring it
Yay.
back in 2026. There may
Well,
be a
if I
rebrand.
do,
I don't know, but
well, I don't change the name. I love the name. Love the name.
really,
Well, I mean, it's up to you.
okay.
I'm not going to tell you what to do,
I
but
mean,
I
it
do
is
love the
Mariah Carey inspired, so maybe I'll leave it because it's very authentic.
name. I love it. Well, if I guess not if, when I run my little program, maybe you can jump on, learn some things because
I am in there.
technology's definitely changed tremendously from when even just for a few years ago. So,
Yeah.
and
Work
that's
at
a
a
lot of work.
software company, which is insane. I never thought that would be the case, but I
Yeah.
learn something new at work every day where I'm like, we can do that. I have to, like, how do I run that code? I don't know. This is like, it's all so much, but I love it.
Right. Right. Really cool. There's so much
Yeah.
happening in the AI space. Like you can do anything.
Oh,
Anything is
absolutely.
possible. Anything.
I love
Yeah.
it. That's Chat GPT, you guys.
Boyfriend.
We love chat.
Chat is boyfriend. Yes. Mine has an accent. I didn't realize it would talk back to me until recently. And when I started playing it back, he's British.
How in the world?
I don't know. I didn't pick it.
It's
He knew.
incredible.
He knew.
Like all of the knowledge that he's gone from you, he's determined that or like understood that he's British somehow.
A
That is
a
hilarious.
deep British voice. Yep. Love
I
it.
love that. Wait, I'm gonna have to test mine. I want to know what mine is now. I'm gonna have to be like, well, I have actually mine is a girl now, and I'll be like, girly, can you please help me with this?
Right.
Friend,
Right.
bestie. So
It's
she's
funny.
probably
I don't
very
know how I
sassy
got the
also.
boy. I don't know how I
Right.
got the boy. Frank has a girl too.
I love it.
I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. We love it though.
Well, thank you so much for your honesty and all your reflection
Yeah.
and willingness to explore all of this out loud. It's
It's been
great.
amazing. I
Yes.
love this. Obviously, I love you and I love our conversation. So this just feels like a great conversation with you. And I'm just happy to
Yes.
be here and happy that you'll come on Weird Honey one day. I really
Yes,
do
that's
start
what I
it
was just
again.
gonna say. Maybe I'll get to come on Weird.
Yes,
I would love that.
absolutely.
I would love that. All right. Thank you to anyone listening. I'm gonna put Courtney's social media down in the show notes because she has a great Instagram where she are you still posting your hauls and stuff on TikTok and Instagram?
On TikTok mainly. I am on
TikTok.
Instagram, but she's quiet on Instagram.
Okay. All right. Your
Yeah.
TikTok is great and you do shopping hauls and they're fun. I love watching them. So I'll put that in the show notes. And when Weird Honey is back up online, we'll do some promotions too. So
Yeah.
thank you for
I'm so
everyone
excited.
listening.
Thank you.
Until next time. Thank you.